Good evening. This is the Walpole Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight is Wednesday, January 5th. It is 7 p.m. And the first case we have is case number 2121 for 18 Ponderosa Lane. They're seeking a variance under section 6B1 Schedule of Dimensional Regulations for relief of the minimum side yard setback within the residential B zoning district. So what I understand is that the applicant requested today a continuance of that case. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Patrick? Yep. So what I'd like to do is we will open that case. Do you have the legal notice?
Yes, I have the legal notice.
Okay, I got it right here. Notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Walpole will hold a public hearing in the main meeting room of the Town Hall on Wednesday, January 5th at 7 p.m. on the application from Brianna Pinheiro, case number 2121, with respect to property located at 18 Ponderosa Lane, zoning district RB. Application is for a variance under section 6B1, Schedule of Dimensional Regulations for relief of side yard, of the minimum side yard setback within the Residence B zoning district. So I understand, we have a few people here to speak. Are you here for the case? Okay. So the applicant has requested a continuance, and this is normal. And what we would do normally is reschedule this to another meeting next time the zoning board is going to meet. And so we've opened the case, and then we're going to reschedule it. Are there other people here for Ponderosa Lane? Okay. Patrick, what's the next available date?
January 19th.
January 19th.
Yep.
And was the applicant okay with that?
Yeah, in their email to the board, that's what they
Okay.
said.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions or comments on continuing that? No. Okay. Nope. Okay. So we've met the requirement to open it up, and I assume your neighbors or butters. So the next, we'll have another meeting where they'll present their case on January 19th at 7 o'clock right here at Town Hall. So I'm sorry you had to come out on a rainy night, but that happens sometimes when.
Is there any possibility we can get some sort of clarification as to what they're really trying to do? Is it a fence? Is it a shed?
Oh, yeah, they've actually filed the plans, and we have them. It's a full addition with a two-car garage.
Yes.
So those plans are available from Patrick. He has them here at the Town Hall. So you can either call Patrick Deschaines in the zoning office, and
Yeah, I can make copies for you. You can reach out to my office. I can provide you with copies of what they submitted.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
and then you can see, we've all seen the plans, so yes, you should absolutely be able to see what's being proposed.
So this is a house type of thing, not a fence or a shed or something?
No, it's an addition to the house.
Okay.
Yes?
I just have a question. So, in light of what I just learned about a minute ago, how come this was not part of the original declaration from the homeowner that that's what we wanted? You see, I read the application. There was absolutely no mention whatsoever about locating a two-car garage on a piece of property. It just said looking for an exception to the zoning variance of approximately 7 feet. But there was nothing specifically mentioned about the fact that we wanted to put a two-car garage.
Because from the zoning board's point of view, they're just.
Doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. They're requesting to go closer to the sideline than they'd normally be allowed to. And that's why they have to come to the zoning board. So that's what they're requesting, permission to go closer to the sideline of the, the side property line.
Does the side property line constitute the town property?
Yes, it does. It's that side towards
It is
the,
that, Tom. It is the easement that goes behind my house, behind my neighbor's house that goes to the school.
correct. That's the side where they're seeking relief.
Thank you.
Okay, so, but I encourage you to take a look at the plans, and Patrick can get you either digital, he can send an electronic copy, or you can come here to the town hall, put a mask on, and go take a look at the full set of plans, what's being proposed. So it always helps, if you see what's being proposed. It might answer your questions, or it might raise other questions. So, okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any procedural questions? So the 19th, we'll be back here for that case for Ponderosa. Okay, could I have a motion to continue until the 19th at 7 PM?
So moved.
Moved by Jane,
Second.
second by Drew. Okay, any further discussions? Okay, all those in favor of continuing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay. Okay, and seeing that we didn't take any evidentiary, no evidence on this case, everybody that's here would be eligible for the next hearing. Okay, next case. This is case number 20-21, Wall Street Development Corporation, 48 Burns Ave, parcel 20 to 136 Union Street, and parcel 20, 119 Brook Lane, parcel 20, 115 Burns Ave, parcel 20, 137, also Burns Ave. This is on remand from the Housing Appeals Committee, request for project change amendment to comprehensive permit under Mass General Laws 40B, to amend the project to include Brook Lane with 40 units in 8 buildings, instead of the previous approved 32 units in 6 buildings, and utility connections from Brook Lane and eliminate installation of utilities from Union Street. So since then, we asked for a peer review, and Patrick, you want to walk us through where we are with the...
Yeah, so we received a peer review quote from Tetra Tech, which was the peer review consultant that was discussed last time. This project was brought before the board back in the early winter of 2021. So the applicant provided a revised quote only focusing on the changes to the project, which is the new access onto Brook Lane and the additional units, as well as what impacts from those changes would have on the site. And so that quote, I don't know if you want to go over the figure, John, or if you...
Yeah, yep, I've already taken a look at it, but
Can you please speak up? We can't hear you.
okay? And you can also, we will speak up, but we're all wearing masks. You can also move up if that's easier for you. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, so the proposed figure is a total sum of $13,624. The peer review consultant breaks it down into 3 different tasks. 1 is a civil site utility plan and document review. 2 is a traffic review, and 3 is simple meeting attendance. I don't know if the board has any questions on any specific sections, but this is typical of a peer review quote.
Yep. And it looks similar to other peer reviews we've done, and I don't have any questions on it. Okay. And so the amount is for how much? What's the total?
$13,624.
Okay. Board members, any? Okay, thank you. Okay, and this is with Tetra Tech, and the board has decided to go with Tetra Tech on this. Mr. Petrosi, will you be able to provide a check for that amount, the $13,624, within 2 weeks to start this project?
Mr. Chairman, I have a few comments regarding the proposal.
Here we go.
Generally, the proposal is acceptable. There are 2 items that I would like the board to reconsider. One is related to the task of 1D regarding the water demand and wastewater generated from the project. This project had been previously approved by the Water and Sewer Commissioners, so I feel that that part of the review has already been completed and really shouldn't be a part of this review. And the second one is regarding the meeting attendance, where the Tetra Tech is asking for $1,250 to attend a meeting, which I find kind of outrageous, considering that they're, according to their hourly wage sheet that's attached, the highest person that charges, they charge out at $310 per hour. So I would ask the board to consider those two items as not being included in the proposal at this time.
Okay, so I've reviewed this, I looked at it, I saw your earlier email. Those costs are reasonable, and to have a engineer come prepare for the meetings, come to the meetings, travel to the meetings, that's very, at least I think that's very reasonable. And that's the cost of an engineer's time. Does anybody have any other questions on that?
No.
Okay, and as far as the sewer and water department, there's a new building, new layouts. It is,
They
that
approved
needs to be.
it, they approved the amended plan back in November of last year.
They didn't go through the engineering of it like we're going through, and we are, as you know, in a 40B, the zoning board is the sole stop for everybody on a comprehensive permit. So that's why we look at that, to make sure that the sewer and the water is gonna flow appropriately for these proposed units.
Okay. All right.
Bob,
Fine.
do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing bad.
Okay. So at this point, we'd like to get this going with the peer review, so can you have a check to town for the peer review?
Yes, I'll deliver a
14
check.
days?
I'll deliver a check by Friday.
Okay,
So
by
you'll
this,
have it
by this Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you guys can begin your review.
Okay, as soon as we get the check, we will notify Tetra Tech, they can start the peer review. And the question is, when do we want to reconvene this hearing to find out, go through the peer review? Did Sean Reardon give any time estimate of how long it would take?
It's about a 4-week turnaround.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So what do we have, about 5 or 6 weeks out for us?
I think the second week in February. Which is,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask if the board is going to take, I know in the past on some other projects you dealt with individual components of the project at different meetings. Is the board's intention to cover all of the items in this proposal at one meeting, or are we going to do it section by section?
So where this is we already know the site pretty well. We're going to, we'll have to see. I think we can do it all in one meeting.
Okay.
Is that, Patrick, you're familiar with?
in terms of the engineering that goes into the drainage, the traffic, I would imagine that complete review can be conducted by Mr. Reardon at that February 16th meeting.
Okay. And if we need to continue it for another meeting, that's fine. That's why we have the additional money in there for the meetings.
Absolutely, got that extra money. And one last question, is it appropriate for the engineers, I know in the past you've allowed the engineers, project
No.
engineers to communicate with the...
But at this point, I think it's appropriate that they
It was reviewed first.
they do the peer review and then come to the zoning board, present their information to the zoning board. So we're not going back and forth with modifications. This is the baseline, and as you're well aware, this is, I'm not saying we're gonna finish this all in one meeting, but we'll see what happens.
Understood, yes. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Petrosi said he would provide a check by this Friday, and in the amount for the peer review. Once that check comes in, they can start Tetra Tech can start the peer review. And at that point, we can, so now we just need to continue the hearing. So what did we say, the second meeting in February?
Yes.
What date is it?
Which is February 16th.
February 16th. Hold on.
Calendar.
Yeah, I know. My January already. I have to put some codes to.
Yeah.
Okay. February 16th is that okay with board members? That is not that's not February vacation, just so you know.
Week before.
Week before.
That's the week before.
Yep.
Okay. Could I have a motion? Town council, we good to go?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Could I have a motion to continue case number 2021, the Burns Ave 40B case until February 16th?
So moved.
Moved by Jane. Second. Second by Mark. Okay. Any further discussion? This is just to continue the case. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay. Okay, so that, so we will have the peer review for, provided to the board before the meeting on the 16th, and then we'll go through the peer review for the Burns Ave project.
Is there a building permit issued on this job?
Building permit now.
So can he be doing site work without a building permit?
So this went to the I know this is a question that went to the building inspector, and the building inspector felt that he was, what was the term that was used? That he was doing the work?
Not related to the permit that's under appeal, but as of right.
As of
site
right.
work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
And I'm not saying whether that was correct or not, or if what the work was as of right, but that was the basis for it. In other words, he wasn't permitted by the building commissioner to proceed under the permit that was previously granted, but in accordance with a list of items that were supposed to be as of right site work, as though he was any property owner, and irrespective of a comprehensive permit.
Yes,
Jack Conroy, Burns Ave. I just want to clarify, I was the one that stopped the whole thing, and I had to point out to Yanovich that, no, it says very clearly he can't do anything, nothing. He couldn't do anything, he wasn't allowed to do it. Wasn't until I gave that to him, and he just went silent and everything got pulled off. So that's what happened. He went off on his own, I don't want him and the former building inspector had going, but he went and they started doing it until I pulled that out, because you guys said nothing to do, and it was right in the, he didn't bother to read your conditions, so. I have a question though, I got more for later, I know which. Is this a modification of the one you guys originally approved, the first one?
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. It's still, that permit still exists, yes.
I understand that, but didn't this come before you and it was denied because it's not a modification, because you're adding land?
So we said it was not a minor modification, we said it was a substantial modification, and that's why we're where we are now.
Okay, and I'm gonna get got a question, do we have a, Mr. Pucci, I guess, do we have something that indicates, because in my line of work, you add land, that's a whole new plan. Modification means, well, we move the garage over here, we move the road, but the land stays as it is. You introduce something else, 100% new plan.
Okay.
Is
So
that-
I will ask town council about that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to find out.
So, George, do you want to comment on that?
Sure, and again, George Pucci from Town Council. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Yeah, on that question, that it was presented, it was an original approval of the comprehensive permit with conditions. That was appealed by the applicant to the Housing Appeals Committee. While that appeal was pending, he came up with a modified plan that did change access and egress, added units to the project. The board found that that was a substantial change in the originally approved project, requiring a public hearing. Ultimately, the Housing Appeals Committee agreed with the board and has remanded the appeal, the matter to the board for a public hearing on the project change. So that's what you're in. So it's as though there's a whole new comprehensive permit application before you, and you have your, under the remand order from the Housing Appeals Committee, you have 6 months to act, conduct the public hearing on this project change. And that's the procedural posture of it right now.
So if I understand what you just said is, this is actually a really new hearing, because it was deemed that it's not, we're just modifying it, that's gone away.
No, no, it has not. That permit still exists.
I understand that permit exists, because he's appealed it, but if I understand what was said, is the housing has said, you gotta start again. So this really is an
So
extension.
the clock starts again. You are correct. We have 6 months.
Okay, so we have it, you're not putting it over here, you're just putting a new one out with what was done by the remand by the housing. Am I making my point or not?
I mean, if I might, all the information that was submitted with respect to the original application remains part of the record. And then we're taking additional information related to this proposed modification. So we're not starting from scratch in the sense that we are going to be accepting, you don't have to go back and submit everything that you submitted the first time in terms of your comments and that sort of thing. All of that is still in the record. We're just
So
taking.
the housing authority, whichever call them, has deemed that by adding a piece of property, this is considered a modification. I don't think that's true. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been doing this a long time. It's Mass General Law, that's a whole nother thing. I thought what he just said is like, okay, you're starting again. So,
It's a public hearing on the notice of project change. Your public hearing is limited to the change. That's it. You get 6 months for it. I don't know how we want to twist it and turn it any other way, but that's what's before you. It's a substantial modification. You found that, Housing Appeals Committee found it. They sent it back to you. They said you can do the peer review, conduct your public hearing, complete it within 6 months unless the parties agree otherwise, and render a decision on the project change. That's it.
okay. And just one last comment is, I know Mr. Petrosi indicated that you don't need to go back in sewer and water, but when this all started, we talked to Rick Mattson, who at the time was the head of water and sewer, and he was on the impression that the only place they could go was Union Street, which was not correct. So I think that needs to go back again so that they understand, because they didn't know that conservation turned them down. What happened is they went before conservation, water and sewer, and they said, oh yeah, go down here, because what Rick told me, and I got the email, and said, we didn't even know. We thought that's where the conservation wanted to go. So that's very important for them to understand again, because you do have a conservation, I assume we still have the same conservation permit on this?
Yeah, that's correct.
You got two, or just the one?
You do have the revised one of the,
Okay.
For
Well, just
going-
make sure that water and sewer, or sewer and water, however you want to call it, understands that what was presented to them way back was incorrect. And that they did, and going down into Union Street that way, not Brook Lane or not even Burns, that was not a requirement of the conservation, because I succinctly remember that, so. The other stuff, we'll wait for the hearing then. Thank you.
Cheryl Hayes Montville, 8 Brook Lane. So with this new modification, I become the direct abutter to the property. But at the last meeting, and it's brought up again at this meeting, there's a bone of contention about like what can be done, what can't be done, what the building commissioner, allowed Lou to do that you found out 3 days later. And at the last meeting, because I was looking it over, Mr. Fitzgerald, you had tried to explain that to everybody, what the process is. And I would bet that probably a lot of things that go to the building commissioner that residents don't like could be considered frivolous. Everybody can complain about something. But say in this sense, where we had this project, it's been going on for a long time, a lot of the people in the room only found out last week that, say, if we didn't agree with the building commissioner, that there was an avenue for us to then appeal it to the zoning board. I talked to a few people who had attended the meeting, and I'm like, have you ever heard that before? That was the first I'm hearing of it, and it's going on 6 years. So then I kind of started to Google, and I could not find a definitive process for a resident where it said, step 1, go talk to the building commissioner. Step 2, do this. And then you would send in a request. Is there a form? Is it an email? What is it that we need to do in order to appeal it to the zoning board if, say, we disagree with the building commissioner? And then what is that turnaround time? Because your calendar is full, that's very clear. So what happens if you don't have time and a month and a half goes by before you can actually like really, like say, hear that concern? The damage is done by then. So I'm just trying to understand, is there a formal process, or is it like a word of mouth process? Or is it that you just hope that you come down to town hall and maybe ask the right questions to the right people? My experience is come down to town hall and hopefully you get the right question, like the right question asked to get the right answer. Is there a process? Is there a formal SOP? Do you have a standard operating procedure for residents to follow? I guess is my question.
Yes.
You
And
do?
that's in the zoning bylaws.
Okay.
That outlines that if there's a decision by the building inspector, who is also known as the zoning enforcement officer,
Okay.
that a person disagrees with,
Mm-hmm.
then they file their appeal. They appeal that decision, and it's happened. We've had cases like that.
Okay.
And every time somebody, yes, so that happens regularly.
Okay.
But it starts with the building inspector, where somebody says, I disagree with what you've done, building inspector, and then you come to the zoning board of appeals. Town council, am I missing anything on that?
No, that's exactly right. The zoning bylaw and the zoning act as well. But you want to make sure that it's not, I made a phone call, I didn't like
Right.
what he said, or.
Right, it's not
It has to be,
frivolous.
you have
It
to
has to have
follow
merit.
his, no. Whether or not it has merit, you have to follow whatever procedure he
Okay.
has in place
Okay.
about making a request for a zoning enforcement.
Okay.
He makes that decision in the first instance. If you're unhappy with the building commissioner's decision, you have the right of appeal to the zoning board. But
Okay.
that's the only way the zoning board comes into it.
Okay.
And then, if you're unhappy with the zoning board's decision, that's appealable to court.
Okay.
Basically is it. And-
Okay.
And zoning is not discretionary, so if somebody makes a formal zoning request for enforcement or a zoning determination to a building commissioner or a zoning enforcement officer,
Okay.
they have to act on it. And then if they don't, or they act on it in a way that's not satisfactory, you have the right to appeal to the ZBA.
Okay.
So, but you have to follow whatever process is in place for that.
Okay. Thank you, because honestly, like, that is like the first time that many of us heard that when you were trying to kind of explain it to us at the last meeting. And I just feel like, again, we come here and we complain to you because I feel sometimes uninformed as a resident, and I've tried to read the zoning bylaws, and they're not exactly the most interesting things to read. Sorry, but, and I just think we have a long way to go. And I try not to have a bad relationship with Lou, but at the same time, you know, now this sits in my backyard, so I want to know the right processes if in fact that I felt something, you know, was amiss, of where I can go and what I can do and the proper steps to follow in which to do it. So that's why I really wanted that clarification, because I'll be going home tonight and looking that up.
And it starts with the building inspector, but you have to have something that you get back from the building inspector
Right.
that you disagree with.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, Town Council, Kathy Campbell, 35 Burns Ave. I just have two quick questions. One was actually answered, but part of it was, there's 6 months for us to conduct this review. Do we know what the end date is?
From
I think you actually have done it. So,
from whenever you commenced the hearing, it was the last.
So from the remand hearing, it was actually 120 days from the start of the public hearing from HAC. So that date is, I believe, April 5th is the 120th date.
She didn't give you the 6 months?
It's spelled out as 120 days. I think I actually have the decision in the folder from HAC, but it was 120 days from the start of the public hearing.
Oh.
Should be on the last page, John.
So I should just note then, John, I misspoke on that. I was talking, the 6 months would be your typical period to complete the public hearing. Apparently, she ordered something lesser.
So, yeah, shall commence no later than December 6th, which we did, and we have 120 days from the date of the hearing, unless extended by the parties. So,
Okay, so Patrick, you're saying 120 days from that December 6th is April 5th?
April 5th.
Okay, thank you. And the other question,
That's that to Patrick.
thank you. The other question I had was, does this remand need to go back to the Conservation Committee, or do all the guidelines that were originally put on the Brook Lane piece in place? I don't even recall if it went through Conservation Committee or not.
I believe they went back to conservation.
Yeah, and I believe they go into DEP as well.
DEP?
They've gone to conservation and DEP.
Okay. From the first from the first time?
Yes.
Not recently?
No,
Yes, that's correct.
just from the first time? So-
No, from the 40 unit
Yeah.
in addition, no, but yes, it's from that time. So back within 2020, I believe to the end of at the start of 2021.
So the original presentation of the modification, that was when it went to Conservation. It has not gone back since December 21st
Of this year.
of 2021?
It has not gone back.
Not gone
since
back,
2020.
okay. And there's no need for it to go back?
You don't know that.
Oh, well, that's true, yeah, there could be alterations.
So,
They don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going, to tell you the truth.
okay,
I can't speak what's going on with conservation. And
Okay.
everything we're talking about here is just procedural stuff. We're not talking about anything with the case as far as what's before the zoning board. We're just talking procedural stuff here.
okay. Okay, so if there's a need for it to go back, it will be sent back, I guess. I'm just,
It should, yeah.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Just gotta get something clarified in my head, and it keep coming up. The original one, way back, was appealed by the applicant, correct? And that's still in limbo?
It is under appeal right now, correct?
Okay.
It's stayed,
It's,
though,
right.
pending this. Stayed, not in limbo. Formally stayed.
When is-
STAYED,
Yeah,
stayed.
that's-
I mean, I'm not being
No, I
sarcastic.
understand.
It's
all right.
Stayed.
Yeah.
So, not that it's in limbo or
When
we're
did-
waiting or it's delayed, it's stayed pending the board's decision on this
Okay.
modification.
Oh, okay. When did this, now, this is a modification to something that was a second plan, right? I mean, for me, and probably you, John, it's about 9,000 plans, but we had the original, it stayed, then we had this one off of Brook Lane that is now, was denied, correct?
It was denied because he wouldn't pay the peer review.
Yeah, but it still was denied, whether.
Right. And now, but now it's been remanded back, that's what I just read. It's been remanded back to the zoning board. And that's why we're here tonight, to move forward with the modified project.
But it, so this has nothing to do with the first one then? This has to do everything with the second one?
Yes.
All right, the first one's just still stayed.
Stayed.
Has nothing to do with this at all. This is the second one he filed. Okay. And when did that come back?
We had to open the hearing by December 6th, and that was ordered by
Housing Appeals
Housing
Committee.
Appeals Committee.
Okay, well, my question comes down to is, since we've had South Walpole, isn't this a circumvention of safe harbor?
Town council?
No, it relates back. There's no safe harbor issue. It relates back to the original application. He's an eligible applicant. He's got a pending appeal. HAC sent it back. They actually upheld the board in denying the second project because of a peer review issue. They ruled in favor of the board. They said the board was right, sent it back and said, go ahead with your peer review, and you can hear that. But legally, it goes back. You don't get to apply the safe harbor on the new filing.
Okay, now okay, the state is over here. This is moving forward with what the guy's denied based upon not paying the money. That's what we're hearing. Okay. All right, and it deemed whether it's a modification or not. Now, my only thing is I would suggest, unless you want to get peeled, which I'll be the first one, is you got to send it out to everybody again. Anytime we get a modification from the planning board, you send the plans out. Because who knows? That doesn't give them legal rights back, like, say, conservation, something changed in stormwater management. He doesn't get grandfathered because of this. It has to be the current. So I would say all the plans have to go to everybody to be done proper. Maybe I just killed myself on an appeal, but That would be my opinion.
Okay.
Trying to help Lou anytime I can. You are, Lou.
Okay.
Just one question. Robert O'Leary, 776 Washington Street. Has the building commissioner been given the modification? Has he reviewed it?
Yeah, so I mean, everything that was received originally was sent to department heads. As that modification, or that remand from HAC came back, everything was re-notified and resent.
So has he commented on the modification?
No.
I haven't received anything, but we're just starting the,
Okay.
hearing process at this point.
Okay, that'd be nice to know.
Okay. Okay, so the next case we have is.
We have to vote to continue.
Did
Oh.
you vote?
Okay,
Oh, no, we did take a motion to continue case 2021 until February 16th.
okay. So this case will be continued until February 16th, and at that time, we will have the peer review to look at the modified plans. Okay. Okay. Next case we have, we're going to be going into executive session. So, Town Council, do you want to advise me? We don't do this too often, so I believe what we do is we vote to go into executive session, and then we'll come out of executive session, but I don't think we have anything else to do.
I was just going to recommend, Mr. Chair, if you wanted to conduct review of the minutes now, and then go into executive session for the sole purpose of coming out to adjourn.
Okay.
Yeah, and-
Counsel,
and
you
you'll
agree?
want to make a declaration that an open meeting would affect the litigating position of the board.
Okay.
This- Concerning pending litigation.
Okay. So, but why don't we do what Patrick just recommended, the minutes of December 15th? We did have a chance to review them before. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes?
Actually, Mr. Chair, I actually noticed one issue I just wanted to add to the motion from case number 2116. At the end, motion by Mr. Neliani, seconded by Mr. Anderson to continue the case into January 19th, 2022, reserving the right to deny pursuant to the prior invocation of safe harbor, which has been upheld by DHC, and that the applicant must provide revised plans, renderings, and agreement binding the project to 12 units by January 12th. That I wanted to add, and this is something I probably should have added beforehand, but I noticed afterwards, that agreement should be worked out with town council and the applicant's attorney before said meeting.
Before January?
Before January.
Before the January
19th.
19th meeting. So, you can add that. Bob, did you have any?
Just one minor line edit on the second page, about halfway down where it says Mr. Anderson stated.
Where is it?
Second page, about halfway down the page
Yes.
where it says Mr. Anderson stated. It said there'll be no harm looking into the applicant, and I think that should be looking into the application.
Yes.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Thank you, Bob. Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 15th,
That's so modified.
as so modified, yes?
So moved.
Moved by Bob,
Second.
second by Dave.
Can you send me the? Yeah. Thanks. It'll jog my memory too that I get a follow-up.
Okay, any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay. What's that?
Abstain, I wasn't
Okay,
there.
Jane wasn't here. Jane abstained. Okay. So at this point, the board is going to go into executive session, and the reason for it is because of pending litigation. And we will discuss that amongst the board, and we will not be coming out of when we come out of executive session, we will adjourn the meeting. We won't be discussing anything else. Okay? So, okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks for coming.
You'll just take a roll call vote on that before they shut the TV off.
Okay. So, I'm not familiar with this, so.
Yeah.
So to go into executive session, we need to have a roll call vote. And could I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Jane,
Second.
second by Mark. Okay, any further discussion? Now we'll vote. Roll call vote. Dave Anderson.
Aye.
Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Drew Delaney. Aye. Bob Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Mark Major.
Aye.
And I'm John Lee, aye. Okay, we're going to go into executive session, and we will adjourn at the end of executive session.